Welcome everyone to Ladder Daily Digest. We honor creators, and we're happy to have with us Erica and Kate from, I think it's was it start with a Nevermo and an Exmo?
Close.
We can do it.
Exmo and a Nevermo walk into a bar.
Yeah.
I thought that was a very
An Exmo and Nevermo walk into a bar. Yeah.
clever
A little
title.
bit of
You know, I have watched your podcast on a few occasions, and your personalities are so delightful. You guys just work together perfectly. If
Thank
you know, it's like you should be Saturday Night Live characters. Not that it's hilarious, but you just work so well together.
Well, thanks.
And we have quality guests like this as often as we can. And so many people love to watch this podcast on Latter Daily Digest, and they'll love to watch yours too. And we'll put your link in the bottom. But those of you who are watching, like I always say, if you'll just go ahead and click that like button, it'll do Erica and Kate and Jean and I a service. And subscribe. If you're not subscribed to Nevermo and an Exmo and a Nevermo walk into a bar.
Right.
Now Jean's got me saying that. By all means, you've got to watch it. You've got to subscribe. You will love every episode. It's really a great podcast.
Thank
If
you.
you're not subscribed to us, what the heck is the matter with you?
Right.
Yeah.
Subscribe to these guys.
Yeah.
We actually our YouTube channel is Two Nomos because our name is so long, and we are the Two Nomos. And unlike certain religions, we don't want to give people more to say. We actually shorten it. So
instead of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints or an Exmo and Nevermo walk into a bar, we'll shorten it, unlike the church, to
Right.
Two Nomos. But
Jean cracked me up yesterday. We were talking about this episode, and a lot of times we'll ask Exmos how they came to be Exmos, what drove them out of the church. And Jean said, well, it would be funny if we asked Erica, what made you decide to be a Nevermo? what caused you to be a Nevermo?
What's your secret?
I just lucky, I
Right.
guess. I wasn't, obviously born into the religion. I was born in Connecticut. I grew up in Rhode Island. I've moved around a lot. And then my husband got a job here in Salt Lake about 4 years ago. And I got a job. We live in sort of just outside of Salt Lake in a place called Daybreak. There it is.
There we are.
Yay!
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm the smartest here.
So I ended up working in Utah Valley, which is Mormon Central. And I struggled. I was really, really, really confused all the time with everything that was happening. Nothing made sense. My office was 85% Mormon. And I had a hard time with things that were said flippantly, racist, bigoted things, homophobic things from people who were honestly trying to do good in the world and didn't consider themselves to be that way, but then would say things that sort of belied this, undercurrent of things. And Kate and I met. I was her ex-husband's boss, and we met. He did not like me.
No.
And so I knew she didn't like me either. And we met briefly, and
Yeah, and I didn't like her at all.
I didn't like her.
The husband didn't like her, and she was showing her porn shoulders. So I knew that she was not somebody I could really approach, right? And I had a rod in my ass. I did have a rod in my ass pretty hard.
Yeah, I thought she was a prude, and she thought I was a heathen. And I ran into a mutual acquaintance who, at one point in the future, said, hey, you should check out Kate's TikTok. She left the church. She left her husband. And I was like, what? And it blew my mind because no one that I worked with or knew, there was no getting through. Like, they were in it. I didn't know anyone who'd left the church. I didn't know that people did leave the church. So the idea that someone was deconstructing and seeing all the things that I saw from the outside, like this is fucking crazy. This is fucking crazy. This is fucking crazy. And on her TikTok, she was doing that. She was like, this doesn't make sense. And I was like, yes, yes. She could see that. So it was really fascinating to me. And she had mentioned that some of her friends were not being super kind. Some still were, but some weren't. So I reached out and said, let's get a drink. We did. And then we have not shut the fuck up.
We can't shut up. It's all the time. We're like, we got to do this little one thing, but then we go off on a tangent and just talk forever.
So Kate was sort of soft shunned, and that sort of brought it together because of that.
I think most of us are soft shunned, wouldn't you say?
I think so.
We lose relationships because that used to be the only thing that held us together, was that community and our joint faith. But as soon as there's no longer that joint faith, then we lose relationships, and it's sad, but I haven't lost all of them. I have really dear friends that are still members of the church, and we can look past that. But I think most of it was, just circumstantial and based on our faith.
Yeah. So
well, Erica, I can't imagine.
A big part of our show is to get to know you better. And go ahead, Randy, ask a question, and then we'll get to your bios, we'll say.
Okay.
I was just going to say, I can't imagine how many LDS men you have caused to sin by showing your porn children.
I mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again here. What happened to me, I knew not right away. Like as I was there, I started to learn things. And at one point, someone came into my office who was not Mormon, and we started talking, and I mentioned to her, oh yeah, I'm not Mormon. She was like, I know, Erica. And I was like, how could you tell? And she was like, your shoulders, because I would wear, regular office friendly things, but my shoulders, I'd have like tank dresses on and stuff like that. And I said, oh, they can't show their shoulders? Because I didn't know. And she said, no, they have the garments and the thing. And I was like, okay. But as time went on and I started to kind of like see what people were wearing or not wearing and doing and not doing, I'd get dressed in the morning. And this is, well, you can see my bra strap right now. So maybe not quite this, but something like this. And I'd look in the mirror and I'd see my kneecaps or my shoulders and I'd be like, is this okay? And I was like, oh my God, I'm seeing myself through Mormon eyes. And that's what I thought every day, through Mormon eyes, and wonder like, is this too low cut? And I would sort of scrutinize everything. I'd wear it anyway, but also for the very first time in my life, feel the tiniest bit uncomfortable knowing that I would be judged for a professional outfit that just was not Mormon safe, basically.
Right.
I think we should coin the term shoulder burqas.
I like that. I'm wearing my shoulder burqa today, not because I have to, but man, I should have something to show off my porn shoulders too, because I can.
And I always make sure to, where were we? Oh, at Sunstone. I was like, I don't want to be mistaken for Mormon. Not that anyone would, because I say fuck too much and drink a lot. But I was like, this is a Mormon space. I've got to wear. I think I even tried on a t-shirt, and I was like, nope, can't do that. Got to be showing the shoulders. So no, because I don't have tattoos. So I was like, just so no one is like, is that girl Mormon?
Yeah,
because I'm not.
So you guys didn't see each other at Sunstone, huh, Gene?
Oh,
we did.
We did.
We took pictures.
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
we met at Sunstone. I met Gene. Did you already know Gene?
I think I talked to you last year at Sunstone, but but we didn't get to know each other very well until this year's Sunstone, because I told Erica, I'm like, oh, we got to go. Like, Erica, you need to go to Sunstone because you're going to meet a lot of people like me who are faith deconstruct. And she's like, okay. And then she came and she was like, I'm so glad we came. Like, we got to meet the coolest people.
I loved it because we got to meet people like Eugene, and we met Alyssa Grenfell, which was really cool. We met Natasha Helfer, who was on our podcast yesterday. And it was just like, it was really interesting talking to you, Gene, and your wife, and just so many other people, and hearing their story in a non-podcast space, just in a space where people were talking. All of the talks were fascinating, especially to me, for like hearing whole other perspectives that I haven't heard before from like all sides. So yeah, I was expecting to kind of one of the things that I've told Kate is that when I find myself in a Mormon space, I know it immediately and I get very uncomfortable because where I was working in Utah Valley, there was a sheen.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Mormon this energy that is very disconcerting if you're not Mormon, and it's palpable. My husband and I walked into a space after I left, and we walked in, and I was like, oh, everyone here is Mormon. And he was like, how do you know that? And then he looked around, and he was like, oh, you're right. And you could just tell. So I had this feeling going into Sunstone, not knowing before we got there that I was just going to be really uncomfortable all day. But I wasn't. It was the opposite. Mm-hmm. I loved it. It was a really interesting, open, safe space for people to talk and share their stories. And I cannot speak highly enough about it. It was really awesome. And we got to meet Jean, which is, I was like, oh, hey, we just messaged on Facebook. This is great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Being
cool.
Mormon, you have to behave like a shiny, happy person.
You do.
And you have to angle with people like Erica. What can I do? Where can I weasel in a Mormon question so that I can start the process where she becomes Mormon?
Exactly.
That's all we care
relationships
about.
are transactional. They're just transactional.
And I'm very, I think you're similar, but I'm very aware of like energy. Like when I'm just like, I'm maybe an empath or something. I don't really like using that word, but I'm very susceptible.
Probably from another planet.
Definitely from another planet.
Yeah.
But if someone is even just a little like funky, I'm like, ooh, that person's in a bad mood. Even if, so like feeling that and feeling the want to be coercive and get me to do something is weird. Mm-hmm. But also I think under that sheen, to me, this like, hi, yay, things, there's this sort of pain and darkness. And so like, for me, it's like, oh, it feels discrepant and discordant and really, really, really uncomfortable. And I know as soon as I'm in a Mormon space.
It's like a negative energy that's disguised as a positive energy.
Exactly.
I call it Mormondar, like gaydar. You can recognize gay people. Mormondar. I can always feel when someone is LDS. I don't know exactly how, but it's like it's that weird thing they put off. Like you can walk into a room and you feel evil. You can walk into a room and you can feel Mormon.
Right. Yeah.
So I get what you're saying. The energy.
It's almost like spray painting a rusty car. The car thinks it looks beautiful and shiny. But everybody can tell there's something off.
There's no authenticity to it. It's just we have to pretend because we can't let anybody know that the church is not bringing us just this incredible joy, right?
Well, and there's the pressure there too. Like there's the darkness that's underneath that is the depression. And then there's the pressure to like, you have to appear this way because if you don't, everyone's going to know that you're not righteous enough. You're not praying hard enough. You're not reading your scripture. So there's like all this stuff. And for whatever reason, it's incredibly palpable to me, which is probably why I was so uncomfortable at my job all the time. Cause I was like, why does everyone look like this? It's just, I would walk into meetings and people would be like, hi. And I'd be like, this is wild. Like what is happening? And my boss, I had several bosses, but one of them was pretty Mormon and I think kind of old school Mormon. And she would talk like this, and I'd be like, where is this voice coming from? This is very strange. Hi, and welcome. And I'd be like, what?
That's the Relief Society voice. The Relief Society voice, Erica.
When you're talking to Megan Connor, you have to have her do her general conference voice for you. If you haven't heard it before, it's freaking hilarious. She has it down.
Love it.
I am so glad you told us that because we have 2 more episodes with her. We're going to do the Lori Vallow story, and then we're going to do a surprise one. I'm not going to say what one that one is going to be because it's going to be a really fun, funky episode. And that might be the one where she can do the voice. Which
we're excited
really
for that.
Fun. I can't wait.
She's got it down. Her and I met, by the way, because I went on a double date with Lori Vallow.
You did?
Yeah. and I was good friends with Alex Cox. So I was on a Tuesdays with Tim show with Gene and Megan and several other podcasters. And I happened to mention that I'd gone on a date with Lori Vallow, and Megan, you could see her head explode. And then so that's how we started to associate. And I was on her podcast a few times regarding that subject.
Oh, we need to hear.
Yeah.
You're going to come onto our podcast, and we need to hear that story.
Well, and I also am curious now, were you Lori Vallow's date or were you the other woman's date?
No, I was actually married. I was married. My wife passed away, but I was married, and Alex said, "Hey, why don't you and Melinda come?" Because Alex was a stand-up comedian. He said, "Why don't you come to my show?" Because I always went to his shows. We worked together. And he said, "We'll go on a double date. I've got my sister's coming to town." And so I said, "Oh, okay." So, he introduced me to his date, his sister. That's a little weird. And we had a delightful evening. I thought she was an attractive girl. Little did I know I was sitting with two cold-blooded killers. Because, it's crazy.
Had they already? So I'm just like, I started watching the documentary just because I'm outside of all of that, and I know sort of the bones of what happened. Was this after they had killed people? Because I don't know how long before they killed people and they were arrested. Or
way before.
Way before. Got it.
I worked with Alex, and he came in one day to the office and asked me if he could borrow a gun. Because I was a police officer. I was a detective at Disney beforehand. And I said, "What?" And he told me he wanted to kill his brother-in-law. And I'm like, "You can't kill him. What are you talking about?" I thought he was kidding me. I said, "Go buy a taser and tase him if you're pissed at him." Well, he did. He went and bought a taser, tased his brother-in-law, Lori's first husband, and ended up going to jail. And so my boss had to go bail Alex out of jail. Right. He served time for doing that. Little did I know, because then my wife passed away. And so I left the job and literally moved into the hospital with my wife while she was, she had cancer. And
so Randy,
next time I saw Alex.
Are you saying your Murdar isn't very good?
Apparently my Murdar sucks, because the next time I saw Alex, I was with my new relationship, and she was watching one of these like Dateline or Snapped or one of those shows, and I walked in and plopped on the couch, and there's Alex Cox, and I'm like, wow. What is this? What is he doing on TV? I know him. He's my friend. She goes, "Well, he was your friend. He's dead." I'm like, what? No wonder he hasn't been answering his phone. And then I learned everything, and I was blown away. I was freaked out.
Yeah, it's wild. And I don't know the whole story. I got through I think it's like a 3-part series on Netflix, and I'm through the first one where the husband was shot. Well, I can't remember if it was Alex. Was it Alex or someone else who shot him? And then shortly after, I think it was
Alex did all the shooting. He was the
German.
The killer. Yeah.
My goodness.
And,
so fascinating, and an example of like religious dogma going to the extreme.
Because you can get personal revelation in the church, and doesn't matter what that personal revelation is telling you to do, if it's to murder people, right?
Yeah.
Because like Jesus will either say, "Love one another," or "Go shoot your family up," and you just never know what Jesus is going to say.
Yeah.
But as long as it comes from Jesus, you're okay. And Lori will be out of prison soon, because Jesus told her that he was going to exonerate her. So
and tear the
I'm
walls
expecting
down.
the walls to fall down any moment, and she'll walk out.
She still believes that. She still believes that her kids had demons and she had to kill them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, that is so sad and remarkable. And just like, Very sad.
Wow.
I read the book Visions of Glory, which is the book that her and Chad were reading when they were arrested. And I finished it a few weeks ago, and I still haven't had the urge to kill any of my kids.
Well, get on it. What's wrong with you?
Right, I know.
Be righteous enough. Maybe Moroni won't come and visit you and give you the things that you need to know, or maybe you're just not working hard enough.
I'm starting to wonder. Yeah.
Wow.
So wild. I did actually mention that to my husband. He was like, "How do you know that she was wrong?" He was joking,
right? Right.
But like, I guess we don't, right? Maybe she was right. Maybe there's demons walking among us, and they need to be slayed. Just joking.
Yeah.
So who wants to go first and tell us where you grew up?
I do, because I grew up in Provo, Utah. I have a friend from college who was very go to temple twice a week. She was Molly Mormon to the max, but she grew up in Sandy, which is part of Salt Lake County. And as soon as she met me in college, and I said, "I'm from Provo," and she went, "Ugh, you're from Provo?" A lot of people think that because, growing up, everyone I knew was a member of the church. Every single person, everyone in my family, in my neighborhood, my high school. They were Jack Mormons, because they would swear in the hallways and maybe do drugs and then bless the priest, like the sacrament on Sundays. That was kind of the environment that I grew up in. So yeah, and I've lived in Utah like my whole life. I went to school at Utah State and was an elementary school teacher for 18 years. Because that's what you do when you're a Mormon woman, is you become a nurse or you become a teacher. Those are your options. And so I did that.
Or a stay-at-home mom.
Or stay-at-home mom. Yeah.
Preferably.
Yeah, preferably stay-at-home mom, but I chose to work. And I was married twice. I married my first husband and had a child with him. I was an instant stepmom. And after that marriage failed, and then I met a man whose boss was Erica, and that's how we got to know each other. And
we liked each other a lot.
Yeah. Not so much. But it was just 2 years ago. But I was a stalwart member of the church. I did all the things, graduated from seminary, got my Young Women in Recognition Award, served a mission, came home, served in the temple, was sealed in the temple, like the Relief Society president, the Young Men's president. I did all of the things and did all of those things the best that I could, with covering this deep sense of shame. And just, I'm sure a lot of people can relate. Like we just talked about it. You have to put the face on. But then it was 2 years ago. I had a lot of, the challenges were just weighing on me. A lot of those things that you put on your proverbial shelf. There was always polygamy. I was not looking forward to becoming a second or third or 100th wife in the eternities. So that, and the blacks in the priesthood, they did not get the priesthood until the year I was born. And I'm not that old. But then also like how the Lord speaks for the family through the husband, and the wife has no say in what the Lord is telling the family to do. My only child came out as trans, and for a long time that was a struggle for me. We butt heads for a really long time because I was like, "Oh, you're just confused," and if you just pray enough and just come to church, we did not get along for a really long time.
So things were stressful in your life and then what allowed you to start thinking about things could be different than you had learned?
Yeah, all of these things kind of came together. And the third thing that was on the shelf was also the way the church covers up abuse. So I had a lot of these things just weighing really heavily on me, but I wasn't allowed to think about it, right? My husband took a job out of state with, it was a unilateral decision because the Lord commanded him that he needed to move. And he had gone to get training for this job for 2 months, and then he would come back and we would move up to this state together and start our lives together.
You never pulled the Lord wants me to buy this new dress trick?
I never did. I don't know. Maybe honesty is kind of a value that I try to hold on to. I don't know. But he was out of state, and while he was gone, I was staying. I was going to do some grad school. I was going to pack up the house. I was going to do everything I needed to do so we'd be ready to move. But while he was gone, that's when I first started thinking, God, none of this is working. And so I started listening to Latter-day Struggles. With
So how did you find that? Did you type Mormon in the Google search bar, or?
I kind of did. I was questioning what kind of sources can I find for members of the church who are struggling with their faith? I think is what I think I Google searched that and came across this podcast with Valerie Hammaker and Nathan Hammaker, and
Hamburger.
What's that?
Oh, I thought you said Valerie Hamburger.
Oh, no, Hammaker.
We had Valerie on our show around.
Did you?
After Christmas sometime.
She is my hero. I love her because listening to this, amazing. I binged the shit out of this show. I just 40 episodes in 2 weeks. I could not get enough.
So would she sort of illuminate you on sort of answers to the questions you might have had about Blacks in the priesthood or other issues? Was she finding out things and talking about them, or just talking about the stress and struggles a Latter-day Saint has living in the world?
It was more validating my concerns. I don't think she came out with answers because her goal at the time was not to lead people out of the church. Her goal was really to help them to strengthen their relationship with God, or to help these people to create their own path, their own spiritual path and spiritual expansion. And I loved it. And so I finally, after listening to this, after a couple of weeks, I had the courage to ask the hard questions. And I had this dear friend, the one who was from the college friend, had left the church about a year and a half before I had. And I gave her a call because I had seen her struggle with her faith. And after she left the church, I was like, I can't leave you as a friend, but I also don't understand how this faith transition works. So we tried to make our relationship work until I said, I need to know what to read because I know you did the reading. What am I reading? And she said, you're reading the Gospel Topics essays, which I'd never done before. You're reading A Letter to My Wife, which is like a condensed version of the next was CES letter. And so I took time to just do nothing but read. It was like finals week for my semester of grad school, but my whole life was like crumbling around. I had to email my professors and say, I have to take a hit on my grade because I cannot focus on anything other than the fact that the fabric of my faith and my life is just disintegrating around me.
It's like in the Truman Show when he starts to realize.
Yeah. And I couldn't
bumps into the wall.
Exact analogy when it was the people that we ran into when we were shooting at LTH. And it was a couple that had left, I think, like 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And she said the exact same thing. It's like the Truman Show where your whole world
was fabricated.
There are those analogies like Rapunzel, the story of Rapunzel, or Entangled, or The Matrix, right? Where you wake up and your whole reality is just, oh my gosh, this is not true. So yeah, it was very much like that. And so I spent.
Did it feel liberating for you, Kate?
At first,
was it a liberating feeling for you?
At first, yes, it was. It was. And so to continue with this, I read it and I was like, none of it was true. I've been lied to my whole life. And my first thing I did is I texted a couple of ex-Mormon girlfriends. I'm like, none of it's true. Let's get drunk. And they threw me coming out of the church party later that week.
But let's back up one little second.
Oh, yeah.
What in the world about the Gospel Topics essays could cause somebody to lose their faith?
Oh, that was sarcastic, I'm hoping.
Sort of.
I don't know the Gospel Topics essays. I know the CES letter now.
Yeah.
The other stuff I'm not familiar with.
So the Gospel Topics essays, this is my favorite thing, is telling Erica these things. It's just fun to.
Because I'm always like, what the fuck?
So, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it came out as a response to Jeremy Reynolds, the CES letter.
Right.
Where he brought attention to all of these things. And so the church responded with an apologist view of this. But they were very hush hush about it. They never stood up at the pulpit and said, hey guys, we've published these gospel topics essays. I think the only one I'd ever read before was about Heavenly Mother. When I was still a member of the church, I was like, I want to know how I can have a relationship with my Heavenly Mother. And the gospel topics essays were like, you can't. And
they bury them and make them difficult to find.
They do.
They were obligated to publish them, but they made them very difficult for members to find, and most members have never read them.
And I was one of
you have to know how to get to them.
Right. And when I was a member, I had that uncomfortable feeling. I think I knew about them, but as soon as I saw something about like Joseph Smith and the Rock and the Hat, the translation of the Book of Mormon, I'm like, I'm out. I don't want that, because that's going to challenge my faith. Right. So, yeah, at first it was incredibly liberating. I was overjoyed. And the first thought I had after I realized that none of it was true was, I don't have to believe in Christian God anymore, because his voice was always, you're not doing this right. You're not doing that right. You're failing here. You're failing there. And I'm going to judge you. So you better get your life back in shape. And even when I did, oh no, you're not doing that well enough, you know? So
yeah. And one thing about the gospel topics essays, they're kind of like, hey, you remember all those anti-Mormon lies we used to say? Well, they're really true.
Right.
But they can be faithfully explained.
Right.
So then you're like, well, then why did you lie to me? I went to Sunday school for 40 years and you didn't say jack about it. And now all of a sudden you're saying, oops.
Right. Oh, Joseph Smith was a polygamist. Then why all of those movies about how he and Emma were like so madly in love with each other and he would never cheat on her? Like,
right.
as soon
People
as
would say, I knew Joseph Smith was a polygamist. And I'd say, show me one Sunday school photo or picture rather with Joseph and any other woman than Emma.
Right.
Can't do it.
And another one was the Rock and the Hat. I had no idea about that. And so why show all of these pictures in primary of Joseph poring over these gold plates if they were superfluous?
That's right. With a feather pen in his hand.
Right. And all of the Cowdery on the other side. Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's funny, Erica, that you said that you were born the year that the blacks got the priesthood.
Kate.
That was the year. I'm sorry, Kate. That you were born.
Yeah.
The year that blacks got the priesthood, that was the very year that I went on my mission. So that'll tell you how old I am.
Wow.
I had to serve a mission when it just barely came out that they could get the priesthood. And I went to Spain, where that was the first time I started to doubt, was on my mission. And Gene, of course, is way older than I am. I think he's at least 7 days, right, Gene?
So Randy has learned a lot from me just because of the age difference.
Big age
Right.
gap.
He's
Very
my
big.
older
The
and wiser
amount of life
friend.
I've lived.
So
Right.
I'm
You know-
curious. Did you proselyte to any black people on your mission?
Yeah, because they were, Spain is right next to Africa. You could literally see Africa from the coast of Spain.
I've been there on the other side
Right.
of Morocco,
Have you?
where you can rate. Yeah, is it Strait of Gibraltar? Is that what
Right.
it is?
Yeah.
And then you can see it. We almost took the ferry to Spain,
Wow.
but it was broken that day or something. But yes, you can see it right across the way. And yes,
Yeah.
But
just
we conveniently skipped over all that. That was something that we were just supposed to skip over. Gene and I just, on our Tuesdays with Tim, just finished a show last week on things that we were sorry for telling people when we were Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I hate is that I told people that the blacks couldn't have the priesthood because they were cursed or because they were fence sitters in the pre-existence. And so they're paying their dues. If I could go back and take all that back. So I never felt good about it. So I just skipped over that.
Mm-hmm.
But I never baptized any of the Africans, but I did attend baptisms where they were being baptized. And I thought, how can you enter into a church like this that is so discriminatory and so prejudiced?
Right.
And I so I have a TikTok that is a lot about like my perceptions of living as a never Mormon in Mormon Central, and I post lots of content about that. People comment a lot and say what you just said. I'm really sorry for what I said when I was Mormon, to never Mormons, to to try to get people into the church, to anybody really. And the thing that I always say is, go easy on yourself and give yourself some grace, because it's not you. Like we always say, people in the church like to say, it's not the church, it's the members. And we say it's not the members, it's the church. And the church had brainwashed to some extent and indoctrinated you and told you what you only had the information that you had. And you thought you were doing right. And you were told, if you think outside of this, that's wrong. Even though it might seem right, racism is good, and like it's the devil telling you otherwise. Right. So I feel like it's the leadership knows what they're doing and that they are coercing and abusing and manipulating people, but the members don't. And so I have a lot of empathy, and I feel like ex-members looking back need to give themselves grace, because they weren't given the tools to really look at those things.
Yeah.
And when you're born into a cult, you don't know it's a cult.
No.
You just figure that's the way of life. I was raised in Mesa, Arizona, which is like Mormon Central too.
Right.
Everybody was Mormon. And I just assumed that was the right way of life.
Right.
Because you don't know anything else.
Yeah.
You don't know anything else. That's right.
Right.
Yeah. So I think absolutely people, when looking back, just need to give themselves a little bit of grace, because what else could you be expected to do in that situation? And you found your way out eventually, which is also sort of mind blowing to me, that, if that's what you're surrounded by, and you don't know these things are discrepant or wrong, or, that's all that you know. If I grew up in a household where I was told racism is good, it's godly, these people fucked up, and we need to, they're paying an atonement for this. How do you even find your way out of that? That's amazing that you guys have done that.
But they've also said, like, if that didn't make sense to the person who was teaching you, we'll figure it out in the next life.
Right.
It was just a cop out to say, we don't know now, but we will find out when we die why the Lord was so racist.
Kate, so
There's got to be a good reason.
Blame it on the Lord.
Kate, you quit the church sort of and went on a binge with your buddies?
Not really, because
this is one night of binge.
It was one night of binge, but no, it was the best thing ever, because these women were so supportive. Most of them had left the church. There were a couple of never Mormons, but I was mothered into drinking. They were like, all right, you're starting with this drink. Make sure you have water. Make sure you have something to eat. Oh, no, we have to pace yourself, Kate. Because I know people who've like downed a bottle. I think it was like Alyssa Grenfell said, like she downed a whole bottle of vodka her first time she and a friend had like done a whole bottle and was like barfing. And barfing because she didn't know any better. But I was so grateful that they mothered me into this. And then, to make this ex-Mormon exit even better, the very next day was Sunstone. And so I left the church on Sunday. I had the coming out of the church party on Thursday, and then Sunstone on Friday, all like within a week of each other.
And that was 2023
Wow.
Yeah. And so I went with this friend that had kind of helped me with my exit, and she bought me my first coffee there. And Valerie Hamaker was one of the speakers, and she presented, and I had to be there, like, because she had been so instrumental in my faith expansion and journey. So she spoke, and I rushed up to her, and up until then I'd been like just happy as a lark and hell yeah, this is great. And as soon as I met her, I just bawled. I was like, thank you so much for everything you've done for me and for everyone else. And yes, I am total klutz. I get it. I know.
The part of the light that's like sticking.
I know. I speak with my hands. So I make the.
Yeah, but
I do it too.
So what'd you tell your husband then?
Yeah. So the day after I had left, I decided to leave. I called him up because he needed to know. And as he was out of state, I called him like, hey, I just need you to know that I don't believe in the church anymore and I'm leaving. And then I asked him to read everything that I had read. And he said, okay, I'll do it. And I gave him about a week to do that. And and when we talked to each other, the final, like a week later, I'm like, so did you read? And he said, yeah, but I didn't read anything that I didn't already know. And I said, wait, you knew these things? Yeah, I read Rough Stone Rolling. I mean, I knew this stuff. Wow. And I would, and you're choosing to stay? He's like, yeah, because the church does this for me. And then he asked the question, he said, do you think we can make a mixed faith marriage work? And I said, no, because our marriage was not the healthiest to begin with. And right. He had kind of put me in an awkward situation with having to move and leave my child here in Utah because they were like 16 and didn't want to move. So we decided to divorce. So I was one of many who, when they left the church, also lost their marriage.
But at least it wasn't the bishop telling you that's what you should do, or telling your husband that, right? Where you wanted to stay. It was your decision. So that's the empowerment part.
It was super empowering. So much so that same day I went to church to like do a farewell, like one last hurrah, even though I knew I was leaving it for good. I was in the nursery, which was the best calling in the church. And I got to just like say my goodbye to the kids. And then it was my temple recommend interview that very day. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to this. Yeah. So I went and with my recommend in hand.
But I can just see you just before this is going to the kids. Hey kids, you're in a cult.
I wanted to, but they wouldn't remember. That's the same way they remember sit reverently during sacrament, and they're like playing it as a game. Okay. When do I get the crackers? When do I get the goldfish? But I went to I went to my final temple recommend interview, and the member of the bishopric was starting to ask me the question. I'm like, I'm stopping you there. I'm going to stop you there. I know what questions you're going to ask me, and I cannot answer in the affirmative for any of them. So here's my recommend. And
I'm out.
Yeah. Sayonara.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah.
That's like a story with a happy ending.
Oh, I wish it were a happy ending, because as I was like, yay, everything's great, I also had to go through the stages of grief. Like,
well, I understand. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you get it. Then came the anger, then came the sadness,
What the hardest for me was, Kate, is thinking that I knew God, thinking that I had a relationship with God and I pretty well had him figured out and understood. Right. And then I realized I don't know shit about God now. I don't even know who he is or if he is, but he sure as hell isn't the guy the sky daddy that I learned about in the Mormon church. And that was the toughest thing for me, I think, is the grief of loss of my knowledge of what I thought God was.
So. And I will say like that, I left a church when I was 14. I was Episcopalian, very, very, very different. No one came after me. There was no guilt, no shame. There was no trauma. It was just, I started to learn about other religions, and I'd known about other religions, but I was like, those are silly. We're right. Like it's Episcopalian is like Catholic light. But then when I really started to learn about those religions, something clicked in my head in high school when I was 14. And I thought, oh shit, like if I were born over there, I would, believe in Vishnu or Buddha or Allah. And I would think that Jesus is silly. And I had this like aha moment of like, oh my God, this is all made up. But I mourned it in the same way. And I still do to some extent. One, because I had no trauma. Everything was fine. Abortion, masturbation, sex before marriage, homosexuality, women priests, no shame. My church was just like about love. And one day I was going to die and like go up and be on a cloud and be able to eat whatever foods I wanted and listen to music that I wanted. And it was going to be, Shangri-La.
It's like Club Med for a religion.
Yeah. I mean, it's such an absurd sort of concept in some ways. Like we die and we go to a perfect place. Yeah. That's sort of, bonkers. But to lose that, and I still like, I'm agnostic leaning atheist at this point, and I still am sad about like not existing one day. I like existing, so I'm bummed about not existing, and I will always mourn that. Like that's sort of. I don't think I think we have a brain, and when that stops working, it's all over, and that's a super bummer. And I mourn that as well. Like that, my relationship with whatever. I don't think I would have phrased it that way for sure, but. That belief that was really comforting and nice. It's a hard reality to grapple with.
Right.
So you did this at 14. If you had done it like Joseph Smith, you would have gone out to the woods and prayed to God,
done a bunch of mushrooms.
Right.
And I wish I had done that. Started a religion, made a bunch of money, had a bunch of husbands.
Erica, you know that Mormons believe in a pre-existence, right?
Yeah, right. With the babies are all up there. We got to get them down here so they can go to the
spirits waiting to come to earth, right?
Yeah, yeah. I have not done a good job of bringing them here. I'm childless.
So I have told some of my Mormon friends, and they say, well, what's going to happen when you die? And I'll go, well, you remember what pre-existence was like? Dying's going to be the same.
Yeah,
we don't have any recollection of that. We won't have any recollection afterwards.
But I was on the way. It's worse after having been here. I've heard that before too. That like, and I guess it'll be. But for me, it's like the only surgery I've ever had was for my my molars, and they said they were like, you're gonna count backwards from 10. They put the mask on me to knock me out, and I was like, there's no fucking way I'm going to knock out in 10 seconds. They put the mask on. I was like 10 and out, but it felt like this. It felt 10, and I opened my eyes, and it'd been the hour or whatever that they took to like dig all 4 of my molars out. And he was like, you're done. And I was like, what? I blinked. And that moment was actually scary for me because I was like, if I died, that there was a non-existence then. It wasn't like sleeping. It was like my brain was turned off. It wasn't like sleep where you dream or sort of
time passed without you.
Yeah, it was. Yes, time passed. Exactly. No time passed for me, but time passed for the world. And I was like, when I die, which is really scary for me. It's very unsettling that's going to be that feeling, not even feeling it's oblivion. There's nothing. Ugh, it's really creepy to me. I understand that there is like comfort for some people and like, it'll be like before you existed. But I also I want to know, like, it's cool. Sorry, I'm on a tangent. It's cool. Now we know, all about prehistory. We know about, what happened in the 1700s and in the BC and like in the dinosaurs. I am like, what is going to happen in 3500? And like, do we ever meet aliens? And there's all this information in the future that I'm not going to get to have. And I'm really bummed about it. I like to have
I know that sucks, doesn't it?
It sucks.
Those are all the thoughts the dinosaurs had when they were thinking, what's going to happen 60 million years from now?
With their brain the size of a walnut. Yeah.
They were thinking raw dinner.
And I want to congratulate Erica for, I think this is the first time on Latter Daily Digest that the word oblivion has been used. So thank you for that.
I hate to please.
We'll be sending you a little plaque for that.
Thank you. We can unbaptize you and send you a plaque.
We could unbaptize you. Yeah, we
do. Very happy unbirthday, unbaptism for you.
Yeah, we have a little, it's a Star Trek
Is he here?
figurine. It might be up in that bowl, but I'm not sure. We have a little Star Trek figurine that we use as a proxy. And no, not that one. The one right behind it. Oh, maybe. Is he in there? We
I'll
might
see.
have him in there.
Anyway, you can keep talking while I look.
And we do it. Here he is.
There he is.
Let me see if I can zoom in on that for a second.
Yay.
This could be a male, it could be a female, it could be a non-binary person, anyone. This is our
the
little proxy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Are you sure that's not Conan O'Brien?
It kind of looks like it.
It might be.
Kind of looks like it.
But it's everybody. This guy is everybody. And we do the unbaptisms in a bowl of beer in the name of the mother, the daughter,
and the holy shenanigans. Yes.
And then we unbaptize the person.
And then we'll give like people a certificate. You have officially been unbaptized by proxy, but with your consent, because the church baptizes people by proxy without their consent.
So only with
See
consent.
what I mean, Jane?
What?
I just said to Jane, see what I mean? These two are like, you should see them on a talk show on TV or something. You guys just, you
So-
have it.
I just want Erica and Kate to know that Randy and I are just like that whenever the camera's off.
Yes.
You guys seem to have a pretty good thing going too.
You do.
Hey, I gotta point something out here that's just really impressive to me. And you'll see, you guys, when you watch your video back here, it looks like in my room it's daytime because you can see my blinds and there's light coming through.
Yeah.
And people watching may be confused because I swear it looks like you're sitting in a studio with a cityscape behind you and the city lights back there. And that's the effect that it gives. So every time I look out there, I expect to see airplanes flying by. So don't tell me what it is because that'll ruin the illusion.
Okay.
It looks just like you're sitting out a window at nighttime.
Yeah, it's a beautiful cityscape. No, it's just my messed up computer. I don't know. It has a hard time. It's actually daylight. There's huge windows to the left of us. There's a lot of light coming in. We have lights on in here, but my computer does this thing where it's like you're in a cave.
We're using my computer next time.
Yeah.
You guys need to get little LED red lights just to
there you go.
flash in the
Right
window
there.
from time to time.
Yeah.
So it looks like cars going by.
We have giant lights like right in front of us that are should be illuminating everything, and it illuminates our faces a little bit. But yeah, it looks like we are shooting from a cave, and we're not.
We're not.
It's a cool effect. It does. It looks like a nightscape behind you. So.
Because
I
we're
like
working
that.
to be talk show hosts.
Yeah,
is what we're-
exactly. Yes, someone needs to hire
Exactly.
us. So whoever's listening, hire us to be late night talk show hosts.
There we go.
We'll cover.
And so
all
I'm
the
kind of
ethnic
interested
topics.
in hearing a little bit of Kate's growing up,
Right?
just because we've heard. I mean, Erica's growing up because
Erica's
we've heard
growing up, right.
Kate story, and we want to be able to share your growing up so that people can know you better and want to go see your show.
Your TV show.
Wait, so whose story are we hearing? Erica's story?
Yeah, Erica's growing up story.
Yeah. Tell us your growing up story. I was like, I shared mine. Go, Erica.
Mine is, it's not that interesting. I was born in Connecticut. I grew up in Rhode Island. I grew up Episcopalian. My dad was atheist though. So I also had that sort of perspective growing up. I went to church with my mom, but again, it wasn't, it was not dogmatic at all. It was actually nice. For most of my life, I liked going to church. I think I started to kind of dislike it as a teenager. I found it kind of boring. I sang in the choir. I was a choir girl. I
knew that.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was like
Wow.
a very lovely experience. Like we had this super cute church in Westerly, Rhode Island. It was called Christ Church, but it's not like Christ Church in other places. That was just the name of it. And I sang, it was the choir and the chorus. So it was actually a really wonderful experience. And then I've moved around a lot. I went to school in Boston at Boston University, double majored in biology and psychology. moved to Ecuador, moved to California, moved to Alaska, and then moved to Utah.
Dang,
So
wait, was
what'd you do
your
in
dad in the
Ecuador?
military or something?
no, I just like to go.
He was just a wandering soul.
I'm a wandering soul. And actually before that, I lived in when I was 16, going into my senior year of high school, I was like, I want to get the fuck out of my town. And we didn't have the internet at the time. So I found a newspaper and I was like, hey, this lady is looking for a nanny for the summer in Long Island. So I left my town to go nanny for the summer before I went to college because I just wanted to get the fuck out of there. I'm kind of a get the fuck out of there kind of person. So I just like to move around a lot.
You're a GTFOT person.
And it's rubbed off on me because now I'm a GTFO. I've been in Utah my whole life, except for the mission where I served in Florida. And I'm not going back to Florida, but I'm feeling the itch. And so I'll be getting out of here.
Yeah. So if you guys have any advice about where she should go, are you in Oakland, Randy? Did you say?
No, I'm actually in Spokane, Washington.
Oh.
I grew up in Arizona, and then I moved to
right.
Florida, worked for Disney. Then I moved to Paris, worked for Disney.
Wow.
Then I moved to Tennessee and ran the Peabody Hotel, where the ducks walk, and then I moved back to Arizona because my folks were ill. And then I ended up here in Spokane, Washington, because two of my kids moved here, and I followed them. And
That's
then
great.
I've got Garrett in Hollywood and my son Andrew in Chicago, so I kind of hop around. But
That's amazing.
Erica, I want to know, how did you end up? Because in the pre-show we discussed that the way that I found Erica and Kate was that Erica, I saw that she was mutual friends on Facebook with my son Garrett, who is an influencer, YouTube influencer, and works for Disney now, by the way. They just hired him for a new show they're doing. But I saw that they were friends. And so you used to work on Out of Jimmy's Head, a kids' TV show with Garrett. How did you get involved in that business?
Yeah. So I grew up acting, performing. I went to kind of a not great high school. I don't know what it's like now, but didn't have the best theater arts program. I did grow up singing in the chorus, but I really liked performing. But so when my dad was a naturalist, and when I was 16, I ended up going to Galapagos Islands with him, switched my entire focus. I was going to go to school for theater. And then I was like, I really like biology. So I double majored in biology and psychology. When I graduated, though, I really wanted to get back into acting. And I had a guy I was seeing at the time. He was a musician. He bought me an acting class. So I started acting in Boston again. I booked some really low budget, not even not X.
I don't know, Erica.
Q level films, just, super independent, whatever, but was performing in Boston. And then I decided to move to Los Angeles to act a bit, to try that out. So I am a terrible server, and also I hate it. That's what people do when they're in Los Angeles as their day job. And I was like, one, I really am terrible at it. I drop food on people. I'm a klutz. I don't get orders. I just didn't want to do that. So I did extra work and stand-in work. And that was actually sort of a long-term, I think it was maybe a 6 or 8 month gig. It was a tough gig because it was a kid's show. So it was super early in the morning. And I was
I thought you were going to say, I can't serve tables, so maybe I can't act after all.
No, that didn't dissuade me from the acting. It just dissuaded me from being a server, because it was not good for anybody. So for my day job, I would do double extra work on that. I was actually a stand-in and a photo double for one of the characters, and it was fun. It was a funky show about this kid who had cartoons coming out of his head. So once they painted me green, I was the stand-in for like this alien character. That was cool. Like my whole body was green.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. So like some of it was really great. And your son is
typecasting. We already
Yeah.
talked about from another planet.
Exactly.
My son, by the way, was really tickled to hear the story and that I was going to be interviewing you two today. And he said to be sure and tell you hi and that he remembers you.
Oh, that's
So-
cool.
Oh, he does. Oh, I was going to ask
Yeah.
you actually if he did. I wasn't sure if
Yeah.
he would, because it was so long ago and he was so young. But he was such a great kid, a really nice.
Oh,
person.
he was astounded. And he said, we, as a matter of fact, we both started singing "It's a Small World After All," just in honor of this.
From all of your time at Disney, you wouldn't have known it otherwise, right?
Right? Exactly.
And what is he doing now with Disney? Is he performing or what's his gig with them?
Well, the first thing he did, I think, that brought him such national exposure was the movie Matrix, the last movie Matrix in the Matrix series.
Revolution
He
or
was
something.
on the red, Matrix Revolution. He was the one that was on the red carpet hosting and interviewed
cool.
all the stars of the movie. And
I think I saw something
and then,
about that.
And then Disney hired him to appear with, what's her name? The new Snow White, Rachel.
Yes, she was in West Side Story too. I can't remember the name. Yeah, but we know who
Rachel. Oh, I
Espinosa or something.
could kick my own ass for not remembering. But so he promoted Snow White at Disney with Rachel, and they're best friends. And then Disney asked him if he wanted to
Ziegler.
Ziegler, thank you. And then he went recently and did a video to be the only influencer to ever go into the Haunted Mansion to see if it was really haunted. And of course, spoiler alert, it's not haunted, but
I'm actually hired by Disney to go see if it's really a mansion.
yeah, right. And well, I've got plenty of stories for you, but you'll have to watch Megan's broadcast about my Disney experiences. But then he called me night before last, and he said, "Dad, I thought you'd get a kick out of this. Disney hired me to do a new show that they're doing. Apparently, they're having, I don't know if it's celebrities or VIPs or whatever, but he'll be escorting these groups through places that people never get to go. I could be totally wrong. And so, Garrett, don't get mad at me if I'm saying this wrong. And maybe it's not even announced yet. I don't know. I'm a loudmouth, whatever. But it's something to do with being a host for these people to learn
Behind the
about
scenes.
Disney. And he's just he's got one of those personalities that people love. And
he's great, and he was. I loved working with him. Then he did have a really just a great personality. He was very just like joyful. He had like a lot of just really good energy.
Well, what'll freak you out is I was sitting watching the Oscars and the Academy Awards, and there's Disney. There's Garrett right up front. And if you look on my Facebook page, I kind of brag, going scrolling through. But last week I see him, or a few weeks ago, I see him on the red carpet of the new Superman movie, and I just keep discovering all these things because he never brags about it. He's just kind of in passing, But when it has to do with Disney, he'll tell me because I work for Disney, and he's carrying on the Disney legacy, but he's doing it in a much more public, fun way.
Cool.
But yeah, he's. I'll tell you, he's got it going. The one thing, if I ever taught any of my kids anything, I taught Garrett, and then he took it from there and went full steam, is if there's someone you like to watch on TV or a concert, most people, they become fans. Not Garrett. He contacts them and becomes friends with them. And that's just what he does. And,
which is pretty amazing because LA can be a tough town. And one of my first experiences there, who was it? Mariel Hemingway, her assistant or somebody, my dad had that connection to this person, or maybe it was her agent. And I had her phone number and I could talk to her, and we had this whole conversation. And this was like, I was like, oh, this is LA. We talked for like a half hour, and she was like, you sound really great. She was like, I am going to be your mentor. I'm going to be your supporter. I'm here for you. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Awesome. Great. And we hung up the phone, and I was like, she doesn't have my phone number. Like, and that, I never heard from her again. And it was like, because LA is a tough town. So it's great that like he has a personality where he makes those connections and he is a connector, and good for him. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm so proud of him. I mean, I'm proud of all my kids. They've all really excelled, but when it comes to this entertainment thing, Garrett is just, I don't know, he's a natural at it. So
yeah,
that's wonderful. I'm a proud papa.
Good, as you should be. Yeah, he's a great kid.
Yeah, I'm sure my Facebook fans or Facebook family probably tired of me bragging about him, but they seem to love to see the posts and stuff. So
yeah, no, he's great, and we need to check out his YouTube because I know like his YouTube is blowing up.
Yeah, he's doing great. So, but this is about you guys, and you guys are, in my opinion, and I watch every podcast there is, in my opinion, you're one of the best up and coming podcasts there are in this sphere. I'm serious. It's so entertaining. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
We have a lot of fun.
You're interviewing the big hitters, by the way. You've got, well, look at us. You've got us.
I know.
Just kidding.
I know.
You've got Megan Connor and Renee Stillman. And did you say you did something with, everyone you've named is pretty big in
Nathan Hinckley we did early on, the Bishop's interview, and Natasha Helfer yesterday. Yeah, we've had a lot of fun. Oh, and Ryan Barlow, who here in Salt Lake is Gay Jesus.
Gay Jesus.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
Rainbow Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's great about it is they're just such awesome people. Like Ryan we interviewed him in June. Right at the start of Pride. And my dad watches most of the podcast. And he said he loved it. And he just said, that was a really great episode. And that guy just seems like a really stellar human. And I was like, he is. And I think like, that's what's really fun about it is we get to like meet cool people like you guys and talk with them. And Natasha yesterday, we had a whole like sheet of bullet points and we went through one of them because her story was so compelling. So I just love like being able to have conversations with really interesting people and make those connections. It feels really cool. And like we said, like since we became friends, we have not been able to shut up. We just like, we love chatting. And, she'll tell me things about Mormonism still, even now, where I'm like, what? That is crazy. And she finds my reactions really
it's very entertaining. She's got this barometer on her arm. If I say something, she's like, look at the goosebumps on my arm.
If it's really bad or like disturbing, I get covered in goosebumps. And like when we were at Sunstone, they happened a couple of times, but late in the day we went to Alyssa Grenfell's talk, and she was talking about the podcast
architecture.
The architecture of abuse.
Architecture of abuse. And I knew that some of that is like baked into the church, but I didn't know. I learn new things all the time, and I didn't know about the help hotline. So if abuse is reported, the bishop or whomever it is reported to has to call this hotline, not to help the victim, to report it to the church and their lawyers and figure out how they can best protect themselves from this liability. And yeah, there it is.
Yeah, it went off.
Yeah.
Like as she was talking, I was just so floored and disgusted that this organization that claims to love children and find them so sacred, and maybe does, but not if they get in the way. If they get in the way, throw them under the bus. And that was so that was one of those instances of where it was like chicken skin on my arms. I was just so appalled, because it's pretty awful.
And my response was very different. I'd learned about that like when I first came out of the church, but my response was, of course they do. Of course they do. Like it didn't come as any surprise at all, because being raised in this abusive organization, because it came as no surprise to learn. And then oh, go ahead.
As the song says, do it in the name of heaven. You can justify it in the end. Mm-hmm. You know that One Tin Soldier song?
I don't know the song, but I understand what you're saying. And that, to me, that's the point of most religions. Like if you want to mobilize people so you can amass wealth for yourself, that's not a really good argument. But you tell them God wants this, and you're on the side of righteousness, so you can get people to fly planes into buildings.
Because you can't argue with God. You can argue with one. Go ahead.
And you get either a mansion in heaven or 70 virgins the flying into the building.
Exactly.
And same with the Mormon men. Like they get maybe not virgins, but they're going to have as many wives as they possibly want.
We like to refer to them as patriarchal pricks.
We just talked about this yesterday.
It was
Natasha. Yeah.
We're both like, wait, where did we just hear this? She had said that, and that was one of the things she got in really big trouble for. And she was like, you guys say all these other things. You call, LGBTQ folks an abomination and a stain and like all these horrible things. And I said patriarchal prick, and you were like up in arms about it, and you can't even acknowledge the horrible things that you've said about people.
Yeah, they give it, but they can't take it. Yeah.
I think it was 2 weeks ago we interviewed Natasha, right? Is that right, Gene?
Maybe a month ago.
And I have to say this. There's a lot of people that know a lot of people, but you will never meet anyone in this whole industry and this whole atmosphere of post-Mormon that knows more people than Gene Judson. I call him the connections whisperer because he knows everybody.
Yeah.
I'll call him up and I'll say, hey, I think I've got someone that would be great to interview. And I tell him the name, and he's like, oh, yeah, I've already interviewed her.
That's awesome.
And as we were like being introduced, and I don't remember the exact sequence, but somewhat, maybe it was you first, Randy, were like, hey, you should reach out to Gene, or I let him know about you, or something like that. And then this CES, the LDS CES director also mentioned it. And then one other person, and I was like, my God, like everyone is like, meet Gene. And then we met him like 2 days later at Sunstone, or I did for the first time. And I was like, oh, and now like the universe, like, which was really, it was just interesting because so many people were like, you need to connect with Gene. Gene needs to connect with you. And we were like, this is weird.
But you guys are making me feel like I should start a religion based on me.
Do it. 20% tithing.
We will join.
Rake that money in.
My followers could be called geniuses.
No. Yes. You got to do it.
We did. We interviewed Exmo Joe Rollins. Have you had him on yet?
Yeah, him too. That was
he started like what's that?
Tuesdays he comes on to Tuesdays with Tim quite often.
Oh, that's
we have
great.
That Tuesday show that we do.
Yeah, I interviewed Exmo Joe about 9 months ago or something about his book.
Yeah, he's super cool and did start his own church, the Church for Godless People. And I'm like, sign me up. So yeah, he's pretty cool.
That's right.
You could do it too, Gene.
Do it. See. The biggest problem is the Satan in my religion. Well, I better not say it. I was gonna say,
Oh, you
What
can't?
can you possibly not say? You were talking about creaming jeans earlier.
so, well, I'll say that the Satan in my religion would be my wife. Well, she'd be the one to tell
Okay.
everybody he's nothing. Let me tell you.
Don't listen to that guy.
That's right. Don't listen to him. And so that's just
I
Gene
listened
and
to
his
her,
wife.
though. She was pretty cool.
She's very cool.
and she makes
Yeah.
amazing art.
Mm-hmm.
These guys came to see us.
Plastic bag right there. It's right on the
Yeah.
notebook.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
So
you
it's
have a
plastic
painting
bag.
from
I don't know if
Michelle?
you can- Yeah, she gave when at sundown. She gave us each. I have it in this bag so I
Mhm.
don't ruin it.
Mm-hmm.
But here, let me put it up. It's gorgeous.
Let's see what you've got.
She's so
Yeah.
talented. That's so
She
beautiful.
is.
to me,
And
you
I
got the
think
best
this-
one.
I picked this one without knowing, that she writes a little quote on the back. And on the back it says, "Come to the woods, for here is rest. Climb the mountains and get their good tidings. Nature's peace will flow into you as sunshine flows into trees."
Mm-hmm.
John Muir. And I lived in Alaska for a while, and he was really, he spent a lot of time there. There's a John Muir cabin. And I was like, oh, how funny that I just picked that one up with the John Muir quote. And it's so beautiful. And she's very talented. So
And I have a cute little
She doesn't
robin.
have the best. You guys don't have the best paintings. I have the best one, which is right behind me by my on the air sign, right
Here's mine.
Oh, there you go.
hanging on the wall.
what is it?
Gene
It's hard
and
to see.
Is it a tree?
Gene, blow me up, or I'll blow me up.
You can go
It
get
is-
it, Randy.
It is a.
That's us.
That's
Oh,
us.
I blew you up.
I'll blow me up, and you, Randy,
Wow.
Randy, you go get your painting right now.
That's beautiful.
That's so
You can see
cute.
it. So
And
it's got
she just-
that little snail.
Yeah. And she just
I
started,
love
didn't
that.
you say COVID she started doing this?
Yeah, a little bit after
So
COVID.
talented.
Once she had second Sundays available,
Mm.
she wanted to.
Second Saturdays, yeah.
I thought you
What'd
were
you-
saying she started COVID.
Second,
Oh,
second Sunday. Let me blow you up, Randy.
that is beautiful.
Oh,
Mm.
that is.
I
Isn't
love
That
that
it.
is pretty
pretty?
good.
Mine's at home. Otherwise, I would show you my little robin redbreast, which was just
You
gorgeous.
You don't carry it everywhere with
I
you?
don't carry it everywhere with me, darn it.
We just happen to be at my home,
Yeah.
and it's here. I got to get a frame for it because I love it so much.
Mhm.
Gene and Michelle came to our home a couple months ago, and Michelle is one of the most delightful people you'll ever meet.
Just
And how
before
she stays
sunstone.
with Gene, I don't know, but she's really a sweetheart.
Yeah, he seems pretty tough to handle.
I must have some dirt on her. That's all.
That's got to be it. Yeah, no, we met her at Sunstone, and we loved her. She was she's just great and sweet and lovely and talented.
Right.
And we're very grateful for the paintings that she gave us.
And we're just really lucky. We meet amazing people
Yeah.
in this space.
Yeah.
It's loads of fun.
Yeah, that is my favorite part of
Mhm.
this is just getting to meet cool people doing cool things with interesting perspectives.
Mhm.
That's
And
right.
we're pretty damn cool. I just have to say that.
You are pretty damn cool.
Yes.
We're not near as cool as we feel like we are. If you want to make money, you can buy us for what we're worth and sell us for what you think we're worth, and you'd be millionaires.
Maybe we're cool for sexagenarians, and I like so anyhow, the purpose of this show is to get everybody to go see Erica and Kate, and their channel is called Two Nomos, but their show title is called An Exmo and a Nevermo Walk into a Bar, which is a hell of a title, I have to say.
which we do. We walk into bars and coffee shops, and we get to drink all of those sinful things. It's loads of fun.
I think the
seems
first
most
note I ever wrote to Erica was, "You guys need to throw like a Jewish rabbi, a Nevermo and an Exmo walk into your car."
Yeah. Expand their universe.
An Exmo and a Nevermo and a rabbi and a priest.
And we all said, "Ouch."
That's right. Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for
Everybody
having
that's
us.
watching, share, like, and subscribe. Erica and Kate deserve way more subscribers and way more viewers. And so We
Thank
appreciate them for coming on our show, and everybody have a great rest of 2025. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.